Good evening, this is Rashad Mitchell coming to you live from my YouTube channel. It's like a 10-part series. The week that was college football history review, the 1987 college football season. This is the overview of the 1987 college football season. And we're going to get into it and get into the week that was for week one and call the video for tonight. Now we're going to get into the 1987 college football season, the overview of the college football season of 1987. It was the year of the Raising Canes, the tie-dye, and SMU doomed to death. Having lost 3 straight bowl games, including Fiesta Bowl that followed the 1986 season and cost it the national championship, Miami took no prisoners in winning its second title in 5 years in 1987. Coach Jimmy Johnson put his stamp on the team, whose players had toughness, speed, and a strong measure of cockiness. He got the matchup he wanted in the bowl season when he greeted his friend from his playing days at Arkansas, Coach Barry Switzer of Oklahoma. Johnson got the right setting to his team's home field in the Orange Bowl. For a second straight year, the nation's top 2 teams were pitted in a bowl game, with Oklahoma the highest seed after being ranked number 1 for most of the year. The Sooners pulled a rare feat by leading the nation in both scoring average, 43.5, and scoring defense, 7.5, all ingredients that copped a 4th straight Big 8 title. But for the 3rd straight year, the Sooners could not beat the Hurricanes of Miami. Miami's mighty Canes losing 20-14. So despite being ranked at the top of the polls for virtually the entire season, Oklahoma's season was doomed to end in Orange Bowl frustration. The Hurricanes may have finished undefeated, but did nothing to improve their image. Not that they cared. Maryland and South Carolina vowed never again to schedule the Hurricanes due to Miami's Raising Cane and most unsportsmanlike fashion. Miami's biggest victory came when it outlasted Florida State, 26-25, with safety Bubba McDowell early foreshadowing the biggest outcome of 1988 by breaking up a 2-point conversion pass at game's end. Miami had rallied from a 19-3 deficit behind gutsy quarterback Steve Walsh. The loss was the 6th in 8 games in the series so far in the 1980s for the hard luck Seminoles of Florida State, who finished second in the state of Florida and second in the nation. So the final pole positions of Miami and Florida State marked the first time that the top pair of the poll was filled by teams from the same state. Florida State almost suffered a bigger loss in the offseason prior to the 1987 season because Coach Bobby Bowden considered return to his home state to take the Alabama job. With unfinished business remaining in Tallahassee, naming a national title, Bowden stayed put. The Crimson Tide job went to Bill Curry, who was treated as a second choice for all 3 years he held the position in Tuscaloosa. Meanwhile, besides Curry, the newcomers attracting attention in the Southeastern Conference were a group of freshman running backs who sparkled like Emmitt Smith of Florida, Rodney Hampton of Georgia, Reggie Cobb of Tennessee. The NCC winner proved to be Auburn, behind a dominating defense, a comeback kid quarterback in Jeff Berger, who shook off accusations of classroom plagiarism and arrest for drunkenness and eligibility issues that cropped up after a hosted hunting trip. Still, Berger led Auburn to the SEC championship crown, the Southeastern Conference crown. The Tigers, however, ended their season on a discouraging note for both themselves and their Sugar Bowl opponent, undefeated Syracuse. The Superdome matchup ended in a controversial 16-16 tie. Auburn coach Pat Dye decision to kick a tying field goal at game's end not only earned him the nickname Tie Dye, but prevented a perfect season for the surprising Orangemen of Syracuse, a team without so much as an 8-win season since 1967. Dye defended himself vigorously, but it seemed like the number 6 Tigers had little to lose by going for a win. Dye never was able to shake the public's distaste for his tying decision. Meanwhile, led by quarterback Don McPherson, Syracuse rode roughshod over the East, including a memorable 48-21 rout of a young Penn State squad. Although Coach Joe Paterno earned his 200th win, 45-19 bowl over Bowling Green, the Lions of Penn State had to defend the 1986 national title without 17 stars from the previous Fiesta Bowl. One Eastern team inadvertently made it a specialty to be beaten, and that was Columbia, saw its losing streak go to 42 games, breaking Northwestern's mark of 34 by losing 38-8 to a Princeton team featuring three Garrett brothers: quarterback Jason Garrett, running back Jug Garrett, and wide receiver John Garrett. The vengeful trio had transferred from Columbia when their father Jim was forced to resign as coach in 1985. Princeton also featured a defensive back and future Superman actor named Dean Cain, who dated glamorous Princeton grad Brooke Shields. Now, Columbia's Lions had last won on October 15, 1983, beating Yale 21-18. But no team ever had it worse than SMU, whose program was shut down in February for repeated violations of NCAA rules. The Mustangs became the first and only school ever to receive the NCAA's relatively new weapon, known as the death penalty. SMU was prevented from playing football in 1987 and voluntarily shut itself down for the 1988 season as well. Some alumni students probably had their tongues in cheeks when they said they rather enjoyed homecoming festivities that centered on a soccer game. Those who hoped the Mustangs would rebound from 2 years of football abstinence were dead wrong, because SMU never recovered from its death penalty, and the shadow of guilt considerably affected the eventual breakup of the storied Southwest Conference. So in fact, SMU's hopeless attempts at winning football since returning in 1989 probably have spared other schools from being sentenced to death by the NCAA. The governing body never realized the penalty really meant as close to death as a football program could get. Angry kids could say whatever they wish about SMU's transgressions. Mustang administrators and boosters were guilty as charged, but it was a sad 2 years for the private Dallas-based school that had given football the greatness of Doak Walker, Cal Rote, Raymond Barrett, Forrest Gregg, Don Meredith, Jerry Levias, Louis Kelcher, Eric Dickerson, Craig James, and Russell Carter. Meanwhile, Ohio State had a rough year as well, as former coach Woody Hayes died in March, which seemed to darken the entire season in Columbia's, because wide receiver Chris Carter was ruled ineligible for his senior season for accepting money from an agent. The Buckeyes struggled on the field, losing conference games to Indiana, eventual champion Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Coach Earl Bruce, who replaced Ives after the 1978 season, lost his job during the week leading up to the Michigan rivalry game. The firing of the coach with the best winning percentage in the Big Ten during his 9-year tenure was handled so poorly that athletic director Rick Bay resigned in protest. Bruce's final game was an emotional win over Michigan, after which his players carried him off the field. Bruce brought suit against the school, which was settled before year's end. Bruce left Columbus with a record of 81-26-1 at Ohio State with 5 wins over Michigan. Let's look at the milestones. Some of the milestones: citing repeated rule violations, NCAA shut down Southern Methodist football for 1987 due to the death penalty sanctions levied against program. SMU administrators decided 2 years that needed to comply. Canceled the 1988 season as well. John Unitas Golden Arm Award was first presented by Kentucky chapter of National Football Foundation. College Football Hall of Fame. After 28 years, final Blue Bonnet Bowl was played on December 21st. And the longest winning streaks entering the season of 1987, Penn State had a 12-game winning streak and a tie for the 9-game winning streak between Oklahoma and San Jose State. Coaching changes. Let's get to it. Had a lot of coaching changes. Had Bill Curry, Alabama, Dick Tomey, Arizona, Big Bruce Snyder, California, Duke, Steve Spurrier, Bobby Brawls, Georgia Tech, Hawaii, Bob Wagner, Jack Pardee, Houston, Jim Walden, Iowa State, Louisiana State, Mike Archer, Maryland, Joe Crivot, Navy, Elliott, Uzelac. New Mexico, Mike Shepard. Purdue, Fred Eggers, Larry Smith. Southern Cal, David McWilliams. Texas Tech, Spike Dykes. George Henshaw, Tulsa. Frank Beamer, Virginia Tech. Bill Dooley, Wake Forest. Washington State, Dennis Erickson. Western Michigan, Al Moulds. Don Morton, Wisconsin. Paul Roach, Wyoming. The top 20 roundout is this. It was a tie for the 20 spot between Florida and Georgia. 19, Southern California. 18, Notre Dame. 17, Tennessee. 16, Iowa. 15, Texas A&M. 14, Arizona State. 13, Washington. 12, Arkansas. 11, Penn State. Number 10 was Miami. Number 9, Clemson. 8, Florida State. 7, Michigan. 6, Louisiana State. 5, Auburn. 4, Ohio State. 3, UCLA. 2, Nebraska. Number 1, Oklahoma. Let's look at August 30th, 1987. The season started. We're going to start with the kickoff classic between Tennessee, the number 17 team in the country, versus Iowa, the number 16 team in the country. Number 16 versus number 17, where number 17 Tennessee beat number 16 Iowa 23-22 in East Rutherford, New Jersey. As the Volunteers kicker Phil Reich booted a 20-yard field goal at game's end as fifth kickoff classic was first to end on a game-winning kick. Full field goal was former walk-on Reich's third of game. Tennessee moved ball on ground for winning field goal behind freshman tailback Reggie Cobb, who made his debut with 142 yards rushing, 123 coming in the second half. Volunteers took a 14-10 lead at halftime as linebacker Darren Miller raced 96 yards with fumble return. Iowa rallied with 9 points in third quarter, although failed to convert two-point conversion try following halfback Kevin Harmon's 23-yard touchdown run proved costly. Despite using 3 different quarterbacks, Iowa passed for 280 yards, outscoring Tennessee offense with wide receiver Quinn Early serving as Hawks' leading target with 9 catches for 137 yards. Next, we got the Maryland Terrapins against the Syracuse Orangemen, where Syracuse beat Maryland 25-11. Season began auspiciously for the Orangemen as halfback Robert Drummond completed a 55-yard option pass to wide receiver Tommy Kane, who had 125 yards on 4 catches to set up first of 4 field goals for Tim Vesling, the kicker, scoring our first 4 possessions, including 1-yard touchdown runs by Drummond. Quarterback Don McPherson. Syracuse held 22-0 halftime lead. So unable to run against Orange nose guard Ted Gregory, 10 tackles, 1.5 sacks. His mates Maryland finally penetrated end zone with 28 seconds left on a 42-yard pass from quarterback Dan Henning to wide receiver Vernon Jones. Meanwhile, Miami, number 10 team in the country, beat number 20 Florida 31-4. Inspired by number 10 preseason ranking, they felt disrespected them. The Hurricanes won big. In its first TV appearance in 30 years due to NCAA sanctions, Florida could not protect quarterback Kerwin Bell, who had to duck often. Bell was sacked 5 times, pressured into 3 interceptions, bobbled 3 snaps, and faced up Miami's quick defense. The Canes' defensive end Daniel Stubbs stormed to 3 sacks. Quarterback Steve Walsh was plugged right into Miami's aerial system. Enjoyed its first start with 234 yards passing. Walsh pitched go-ahead 23-yard touchdown to wide receiver Brian Blaze in first quarter. Oddly, Gators were spared shutout by 2 safeties on bad punt snaps by Miami defensive end center Willis Pegues. Florida State, number 18 in the country, beat Texas Tech 40-16. Seminoles looked like they were in for a barn burner as Texas Tech matched them with 13 points in the first quarter. But after that, it was all Florida State as quarterback Dan McManus led 3 drives in the second quarter. McManus scored on a 6-yard run, pitched 37-yard touchdown pass to Herb Gaynor, the wide receiver, for 30-16 halftime lead. The Red Raiders I-back James Gray rushed for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns to pace Tech offense. Meanwhile, Louisiana State, number 16 in the country, beat number 15 Texas A&M 17-3. Youth will serve in College Station as LSU coach Mike Archer, youngest in the nation at 34, won the debut behind a swarming defense that held Aggies to 3 first downs and 67 yards in the entire first half. Scored favorite Tigers by 17-0 when Texas A&M finally crossed the midfield initially on second possession of third quarter. Now Victor, the fullback, Victor Jones, ruled in both LSU touchdowns, while quarterback Tommy Hudson threw for 449 yards. Aggies scored on kicker Scott Slater's 41-yard field goal. But even that tally was difficult because Texas A&M reached LSU 8-yard line before backsliding to 24-yard line. Washington, number 13 team in the country, beat Stanford 31-21. Quarterback Chris Chandler threw for career-high 314 yards as Huskies won conference opener at newly expanded Husky Stadium. Stanford was hindered by a sprained ankle suffered by tailback Brad Muster, 1986 Pac-10 Player of the Year, who was finished after rushing stats of 3 carries for -2 yards. The Cardinals trailed only by a single touchdown after quarterback Alan Grant's 69-yard punt return for a touchdown in the third quarter, but came no closer as Washington's fullback Tony Covington added insurance touchdown on a 1-yard run in the fourth quarter. Kicker Brandy Brownlee, a transfer from SMU, booted his third field goal. Dependable Stanford wide receiver Ed McCaffrey caught 4 passes for 108 yards. Finally, Michigan State beat number 19, Southern California, 27-13. Now, just like his 4 predecessors, Larry Smith lost coaching debut at Southern California. So as Spartans took advantage of Trojan miscues to stretch 10-6 halftime lead into 27-6 advantage, Michigan State quarterback Bobby McAllister rushed for 63 yards, scored a touchdown, threw for 103 yards. Meanwhile, Spartans tailback Lorenzo White ran for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. USC quarterback Rodney Peete threw for 229 yards, but was intercepted twice, fumbled 3 times, failed to get Troy into end zone. USC backup quarterback Kevin McClain threw for his team's only score, 26-yard pass. So obviously with Randy Tanner. Had 8 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown. Trojans had owned impressive 17-game winning streak against Big Ten opponents, but suffered first loss since 1974 in January of the Rose Bowl. They were beaten 42-21 by Ohio State. So that includes a look at Week 1 college football history review of the 1987 college football season, the overview of the 1987 college football season, Week 1. Games that played on August 30th and September 5th. And other games that played on Monday. Things of that nature. The top 20 poll for September 8th. Number 20, Georgia, 19, Alabama, 18, Pittsburgh, 17, Michigan State, 16, Notre Dame, 15, Arizona State, 14, Tennessee, 13, Arkansas, 12, Washington, 11, Penn State, 10, Clemson, 9, Michigan, 8, Florida State, 7, Miami, 6, Louisiana State, 5, Ohio State, 4, Auburn, UCLA, 3, Nebraska, 2, and number 1, Oklahoma. So that includes a look at college football season review, the 1987 college football season, for the overview of the 87 season, as well as the games that are played on Week 1 from August 30th to September 5th, and the Monday game between Michigan State and Southern California. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the channel. Do video maybe on Sunday, definitely not tomorrow, definitely on Sunday, and continue with Week 2 of the college football season 1987. Until then, like, subscribe, and comment on the channel. Until then, talk to you soon.